The chandeliers of the grand ballroom sparkled like tiny suns, casting golden halos over the sea of laughter, music, and the clinking of champagne glasses. Men in tailored suits and women draped in silk gowns filled the air with elegance, arrogance, and whispers of wealth. But at the edge of the shining room, standing quietly with a silver tray in her trembling hands, was Elena, a young maid whose presence was invisible to most. She wore a crisp blue uniform and white apron, her dark hair pinned back neatly, her face framed with a quiet dignity that no one seemed to notice. It was in that same glittering room where her life would change forever, though not in the way anyone could have imagined. The night began like any other, serving wine, carrying hors d'oeuvres, bowing politely, smiling faintly. But wealth has a way of making cruelty appear like entertainment. And tonight, one man, a wealthy, arrogant millionaire with a penchant for mocking those beneath him, decided Elena would be the subject of his ridicule. He waved a folded note in his hand, surrounded by his laughing companions, and then his booming voice silenced the music for just a moment. "This maid here," he smirked, pointing directly at Elena with an air of mockery, "she doesn't belong in this ballroom. But tell you what, sweetheart, if you can dance the tango right here, right now, I'll marry you on the spot." The crowd erupted in cruel laughter, the words echoing in Elena's ears like the crack of a whip. Her heart pounded, her cheeks flushed, and for a moment, she wished the ground would swallow her whole. What he didn't know, what none of them knew, was that Elena carried a secret. A secret she had locked away for years. Before tragedy stripped her life bare, before she became a maid, before poverty forced her into servitude, Elena was once known across small theaters in her city as one of the most graceful tango dancers to ever touch the floor. But her dreams had been buried when her father fell ill, when debt crushed their family, and when she was forced to trade satin shoes for scrubbing brushes, applause for silence, and bright stages for dim servant quarters. That night, however, the cruel challenge awakened something long forgotten within her. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in stories where the invisible find their light, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to our channel, Kindness Corner. Your support helps us keep telling stories that touch hearts. Elena froze for a moment, her hands shaking as laughter filled the ballroom. She wanted to run, to escape the humiliation. Yet deep inside, another voice whispered, "You have nothing left to lose." Slowly, she placed the tray on the nearest table, her breath shallow, her eyes lowering not out of shame, but out of focus, recalling every step, every rhythm, every passion of her old life. The pianist, sensing the sudden silence, touched the keys in curiosity. A haunting tango melody filled the hall. Gasps replaced laughter. The crowd expected a clumsy, pitiful attempt that would add to their mockery. But when Elena stepped onto the floor, shoulders straight, eyes lifted, something shifted. She moved with elegance that stunned even the harshest eyes. Her feet slid, tapped, spun with precision. Her arms flowed like water, her head turned with poise. The millionaire, still holding his glass, nearly dropped it. His laughter faltered, replaced by disbelief. For a long moment, he stood frozen as Elena transformed the ballroom into her stage. The audience, once mocking, was now captive. Some leaned forward, others whispered in shock. It wasn't just dancing, it was storytelling, pain and passion spun together into every twist and every heartbeat of the tango. Elena's movements told of years of sacrifice, of dreams deferred, of wounds endured silently. Each step carried not just rhythm, but soul. And as the music swelled, the tears she had held back for so long shimmered in her eyes but never broke her grace. When the final note struck and her body froze in a perfect pose, the silence was deafening. For one long, suspended second, no one dared to breathe. Then, applause erupted like thunder. But Elena didn't smile. She only bowed her head slightly, her heart aching not for their approval, but for the memory of who she used to be. The millionaire, red-faced, stepped forward, his arrogance now exposed as fragile. He had mocked her, only to be humbled in front of everyone. But Elena didn't stay to revel in the reversal. She quietly picked up her tray, turned, and walked away. The ballroom had seen her strength, but she wasn't there to win their admiration. She was there because life had forced her to serve. Yet in that moment, every person in that hall realized that the maid they had ignored carried more grace, dignity, and strength than all their wealth combined. The millionaire tried to laugh it off, to say it was a joke, but the truth lingered. He had mocked her, yet he was the one who stood exposed. And whispers followed him that night, whispers not of his wealth, but of the maid who silenced a room with her courage. The days that followed were unlike anything Elena had known. People who once never noticed her began treating her differently. Some asked her name. Others quietly respected her presence. A woman who had once sneered now left her an envelope with tickets to a small dance studio. A man whispered that he knew someone looking for instructors. It wasn't immediate wealth or rescue, but it was something Elena had not felt in years: opportunity. Slowly, Elena began to rebuild. By day, she continued her duties with humility. But by evening, in a small studio lit with mirrors and polished wood floors, she began to teach. Children, mothers, even retired couples, they came to learn not just the tango, but to feel alive again through movement. Elena's pain had given her a gift, the ability to inspire others. The millionaire who mocked her. He tried once to approach, perhaps out of guilt or perhaps out of shame. But Elena only bowed politely and continued walking. For she had learned the most important lesson: her worth was never defined by those who laughed at her. It was defined by the fire she carried inside. And so, the maid who was once invisible became a symbol in her city, a reminder that no matter how the world mocks you, no matter how far life pushes you down, your light cannot be hidden forever. Sometimes, it only takes one cruel challenge to awaken the greatness you've kept hidden within. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video, comment your feelings, share it with friends, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Your voice keeps these stories alive, and together we can spread kindness and hope across the world. Special request to comment: before we close, tell us in the comments, do you believe hidden talents always find their way back to the light, no matter how deeply buried? Because sometimes, a single moment of courage changes everything.